Well, hi, everybody. It's Rob here with another AgVisor podcast. So really excited to have my friend, colleague, Joe Middione from the metropolis of St. George, Utah, on with us. And Crop Protect Direct just came on AgVisor Pro as an AgVisor Pro partner on the Market Access Program. And this is really exciting for me because along with them being on the platform, we also get insight into their expertise. And so welcome, Joe.
Hey, Rob. Good to see you again. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, really excited to be here. So tell me a little bit about Joe. You and I go back a long way to, the California days, but you've got a
Yeah.
really deep rooted background in agriculture and in chemistry, right, Joe?
Yeah, I've been at it a long time, Rob. You can tell by the gray hair. Yeah, I started my career. I'm originally from Western New York. I'm a Buffalo guy. You know that. A big Bills fan, of course.
Big Bills fan.
Yeah,
Yeah,
big Bills
yeah.
fan. Anyways, started my career in agriculture with FMC. And most people don't realize this, but FMC's research facility was based in a little town called Middleport, New York,
Hmm.
just outside Buffalo. And, I was a kid that was trying to, figure out my way and where I was going to go. I thought I was going to go to dental school. Can you see these hands? I can't imagine those being in anybody's mouth. But, anyways, wanted to do something in the biological sciences because that's where I thought I was headed with, going to dental school. Anyways, this little company called FMC was based in my little hometown where I went to high school and got a summer job there. And it was basically basic research. They were doing herbicide, insecticide discovery,
Uh-huh.
so dabbling in plant growth regulators. And I worked there for 2 summers, and I was just really interested in the whole process of, screening for herbicide discovery and insecticide discovery. Most of my time was spent on the herbicide side of things, but believe it or not, during my time there, two or three really good products were discovered in Middleport. Most people don't realize this, but a company called, or a product called clomazone, which you would know as Command, was
Okay.
discovered in Middleport, as well as sulfentrazone and carfentrazone, Authority under the brand name Authority, and AIM, another product.
Yeah.
So these
Well,
products,
these are all pretty big products. So these
yeah,
are all brand new molecules that you worked
yeah,
on.
they were branded and discovered in Middleport, New York, and right around the time I was entering into college. I had worked there a number of summers, and they said, "Hey, when you're done with your schooling, would you like to come work for us full time? We're building a brand new facility, research facility in Princeton, New Jersey." And I was, 21 years old and pretty much fed up with school. And, I thought the dental school thing was a stretch and really was just intrigued by agriculture. So I went that path, and that started my career at FMC, which lasted for about 10 years. I moved around quite a bit, ended up in field research.
Yeah.
I grew up on a small farm in Western New York, and long story short, was with them for, like I said, 10 years. And then an old buddy of mine called from American Cyanamid, and FMC was going through some challenges with a product called Furidan. Many of you that are listening would
Yep.
probably not
I
even
used it
know about
myself.
it.
Yep.
Yeah. So they were going through some challenges. And meanwhile, American Cyanamid had just discovered the imidazolinones, which products like brand names like Pursuit and Scepter and Arsenal, and they
Yeah.
were on the up and up. So I actually jumped ship and went to work at American Cyanamid in New Jersey, and then moved around a lot with them, ended up across the country. And of all places, the kid from Buffalo ends up in Fresno, California. This is by way of about, 4 or 5 different moves.
And that's where you and I got to spend a little time in Fresno, and that is a really diverse agricultural area.
Unbelievable. You think you hear about the breadbasket of the world, but until you go to the San Joaquin Valley of
Yeah.
California, you really don't get it. It's pretty damn amazing. Anyways, I was with AmSci for a number of years in marketing, sales management, and they were going through some merger talks. And an old buddy of mine was working at UAP at the time, and he said, "Hey, you've never been over on the retail side. Why don't you come over and join us at UAP? And some of your listeners may not recognize, but of course now UAP is Nutrien, which is the largest ag retailer in the world.
Yeah, so you had really an interesting FMC to American Cyanamid over to UAP, which of course is now Nutrient.
Yeah. And I was there for a number of years. I became the general manager at UAP and ran pretty much everything west of the Rockies. Learned all about the diverse agriculture outside of corn and soybeans, so we were into tree fruit and tree nuts and you name it.
Well,
And
let's flash forward now, because
yeah,
the pedigree has been established. So
yeah,
we know that you had a stint with Agrian as well. You're
yeah,
they're part of Tellus now. So there's all these interwoven things happening. You and I met when I was working in the sulfur industry, and I was calling on
yeah,
you guys as retailers. And so
yes,
I was back in the Tiger days. But I want to launch forward now to today. And
yeah,
you've launched a company called Crop Protect Direct. I'm really interested in learning more about the philosophy. Why did you do it, first of all?
well, we
You
had
and I
dabbled,
talk a lot of times. I've been to your man cave. So you say, I don't need to work this hard. So you
yeah,
started a new company. Okay, fill me in.
well, I dabbled into the generic ag chemical space. And having worked in retail, you see a little bit of what goes on. And a lot of these growers across the US don't realize that in many cases there's a generic alternative for ways to control weeds, disease, and insects. And so what we do at Crop Protect Direct is, we manufacture, market, register, and sell generic crop protection chemicals to farmers.
And
And
I'm looking on the website here. You've got herbicides, fungicides, insecticides. So
yeah,
you,
yeah, we've started about 3 years ago, and of course, the regulatory process takes a little bit of time here in the U.S. So it took us a few years to get these products registered. I think we're at 7 or 8 registrations currently, and we've got a number of new products in queue. But basically, what we're doing is we're trying to get as close to the grower as we possibly can. But you know this more than most. You get into certain parts of the US and you have three-step distribution because you have a distributor, and then you have a retailer, and then you have the grower. Well, we're trying to cut some of that inefficiency out of the system. And a lot of our support comes from the independent retailers that are all over the US that are one step closer to the grower than the distributor might be in some cases.
So
So
let's cut to the chase there. You're actually providing a more streamlined approach and not necessarily cutting out the retailer, in a lot of cases working with them.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
We do have some growers that we sell direct. These are large corporate
Yeah.
farms. One of our big supporters was a guy from the Dakotas that never heard of us before, tried our products, loves us, and he farms 50,000 acres, so he doesn't need a lot of agronomic support. Some of these guys, especially in the sense that these products are generic, they don't need a lot of agronomic support. They know they need a good product at a fair price and somebody they can call if they have a question.
Well,
So
this is actually the thing that interests me about Crop Protect Direct on AgVisor Pro is you've got such a wealth of knowledge in your head and with the team that you've assembled that farmers who have AgVisor Pro in their pocket on their phones can reach out, get advice, and then connect with you a brand new way that they've never been able to do before.
yeah, absolutely. And the time that you and I had talked about AgVisor Pro and how it could work for us, it makes perfect sense. That's exactly what we provide: good products, quality price, and the support that you need should you need it. So AgVisor Pro is a great platform to get those questions answered.
Can you give me a little bit of insight as to some of the products that you're handling? Because you're handling some products that are used by a big swath of the growers out there.
Yeah, absolutely. We started out with glufosinate, which is generic Liberty
Yep.
or Rely, depending on where you're at in the U.S. Rely in the West, Liberty in the Midwest. So that's our flagship product that we launched a couple of years ago. We also have clethodim, which is a post-emerge grass herbicide sold under the brand name Select. And then, of course, you get into corn, you got generic Callisto, which we call mesotrione. So we have that as well. And believe it or not, we were the first company, and this always drove me crazy. This is just a side gig.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it's all the little things, right? The little things. Our packaging is very bright and colorful. We spend a little extra on our boxes, so when you lift it up,
And they don't rip the handles or rip
they
out?
don't rip the handles out.
Oh
And all the
man, what an innovation that is, Joe, eh?
well, and the color too,
Yeah.
being able to look into a warehouse and instantly spot something that you need because the bright colors. Our packaging would stand toe to toe with any of the big manufacturers. But the cool thing that we came out with, I think I was at a summer event at some point, and you know the little seal on your ketchup when you go to open the ketchup bottle, and there's a little peel and lift.
Yeah.
And I thought, oh my Lord, why of all places ketchup? I don't mind getting a little ketchup on my finger, but why in the world haven't we used this in agriculture? It's the foil seal where the farmer gets his knife out and he cuts the
Yeah.
seal.
Punch it in.
He wipes it on his pants or whatever. And then later that afternoon, he uses that knife to cut his apple. And I go, why aren't we using the peel? And so we were the first company to launch the lift and peel on our
You
mesotrione.
just got a little tab on it and you lift it up and peel it off.
That's it. We did some testing to make sure it would still not leak and things like that. But it's these little things, not any one.
Now, what you need to do on the inside of that, Joe, is you need to print out like a free coffee or something. So they lift it, peel it, and like the Canadian roll up the rim to win. You could just do a crop protect, I don't know.
Or something.
Yeah, you could get.
Hey, don't rule it out. We've done some crazy things, so don't rule
Oh.
any of that out, Rob. Those are good ideas. But anyways, those are three of the products I mentioned, glufosinate, clethodim, mesotrione. We're also launching metolachlor, a generic metolachlor under Crop Protect Direct brand.
It's metholachlor. Fill me in on that.
Well, it's just a herbicide that's used primarily in corn, so it's a big deal in the Midwest. And although we're not focused on the Midwest because we have products that are used in some of the specialty markets as well.
I was going to ask you about your footprint. So
Yeah.
Crop Protect Direct, where are you kind of based, and what's your geographic footprint right now? You mentioned North Dakota or something.
We have warehouses that we use throughout the U.S. We have 4 of them that we pull out of currently, but we can get product from an order to the customer within a matter of a day or two. And again, these are products that they know they're going to need. It's like milk and bread. If you're planting beans or corn, you're going to need these things. So it's not like you need it tomorrow. But in California, we pull out of the Central Valley, which is Fresno. So we can do same day, next day delivery in many cases. So it really depends on the geography, depends on the product, depends on the time of the year as to how quickly we can get products to customers.
Well, this is really interesting because it's the products are known, your expertise is strong. People can reach out to you on AgVisor Pro or on Protect Direct. And the name kind of says it all, Crop Protect Direct. So
that's it.
You're trying to streamline the business model. So what do you see in the future? What are you aiming for, Joe?
Well, we're also launching some biostimulants. We have a peptide product that we now sell. So we're dabbling into the biostimulant realm. We've got an interesting relationship with a company called Corbett Scientific that sells a really interesting adjuvant that has reams of data that helps keep the product in the treatment zone longer and reduce the leaching opportunities of some of these pesticides. So we have a relationship with them on a product called Hydrovant, which is really interesting. And then what's happening is many manufacturers are seeing that we provide market access. There's a lot of companies, whether they're from India, China, other areas that are coming to the US that want access. They have the registrations, they have the products. They're willing to work with us to put those products in a CPD brand, and what we provide them is market access. So I see the future as being very bright as we continue to grow, add products to our portfolio, provide growers more options.
What you just said there is really interesting, Joe, because you're selling generics, glufosinate, for example. Everybody kind of understands that, but then you just leapfrogged like from generics into something fairly leading edge, which is the biologicals and things like that, and that puts your company in an interesting spot. And I do think, I guess my question to you would be, where do you see the world, and why are you dabbling in this biological realm? Because obviously it's something that's of interest to you.
Yeah, it is interesting. And like you know, being a hockey buff like I am, you know, you play to where the puck's going to be, and you can't
Yeah.
avoid the fact that people are looking for more sustainable ways to grow the various crops that they grow and do it in a way that is a little, you know, a little safer, a little more environmentally friendly. And so some of these biostimulants offer some real promise, and we found a couple of them that we think are pretty cool. So we're proud to put those in a CPD or Crop Protect Direct brand. So we'll continue to add things.
Yeah, I didn't know that you were
Yeah,
dabbling in that, so that's really cool.
yeah,
Tell me a little bit about your team and how are you structured?
yeah. We've got about 7 employees,
Mm-hmm.
um, many of which I had worked with before. Um, and these are seasoned veterans. I think collectively, if we added our years of experience, we're somewhere north of 150 years of agronomic experience. Both from a regulatory standpoint, we have a good regulatory person that helps us, Dr. Shiv Sharma. He's based in Houston. We've got Andy King, who is a former colleague of mine at Willowwood. Andy makes his home in Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Missouri, and we've got just a wonderful team of experienced people. Jeff Novak, who comes to us from Nutrien, he spent some time at FBN. He understands grower needs, and he's brought a lot of interesting ideas to the company. I've known Jeff for probably 30 years, 25 or 30 years, and just people that are really good at what they do and really passionate about agriculture. That's
You know,
really
it sounds
common.
like you just assembled a really strong bench. It's
Yeah, we've got a good, strong team that really we have fun. We get a lot done. There's no bureaucracy. We make decisions fairly quickly, and
I forgot about the Willowwood. I mean, that whole
yeah,
chapter, I jumped ahead, but that whole chapter, you've had so much experience in the chem business building that whole entity.
yeah. And people remember us from Willowwood, which of course was acquired by FBN, but they recognize the names. They know that we've been there before. We know what we're doing, and to that degree, they love working with us. So we appreciate those customers.
So you got products, you got a really strong bench, 4 warehouses, dabbling and looking at bringing on biological. Sounds like a really interesting company. Thanks for coming on AgVisor Pro. Why did you do that? I mean, I've been building this. We've been building AgVisor Pro for a while, trying to create a place to have conversation about agriculture, connecting farmers and ranchers with experts and companies. And so
Yep.
your thoughts around what we're trying to do?
Pretty simple. I think I mentioned it earlier that what we provide at Crop Protect Direct is market access to growers. Well, how do we build that? How do we grow that? AgVisor Pro is a great way that we can introduce growers to our platform through AgVisor Pro, ask questions, get information, and do it basically virtually, knowing that you're talking to people who have the expertise that can provide the answers. So makes a perfect match to me.
Well, if you're an agronomist out there, or you're a farmer, even a retailer, and you got questions, download AgVisor Pro for free. You can scope out Crop Protect Direct as one of the companies is profiled in the application, and you can connect with Joe or the people at Crop Protect Direct instantaneously, either audio, video. You can text them directly right inside the app. Of course, you can go to cropprotectdirect.com too, but it is another channel that we're trying to create so that growers can connect with companies like yours, Joe. So thanks for being on the AgVisor podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rob. Always a pleasure to get caught up.
Got to ask you, as we close off here, you're staring into the crystal ball. I got 2 questions for you. One, you think the Oilers can pull it off?
I do.
Yeah.
Do.
All right.
I think the Panthers are going to make it, but I do think if anybody could give the Panthers a run, I think it's time for the Oilers to step it up. We need a Canadian win here.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thanks for that. And then tell me a little bit about your thoughts around Josh Allen and the upcoming Bill season.
If I'm not mistaken, I believe today is Josh's birthday.
Okay.
And I know you had a birthday yesterday.
Yesterday, yeah.
It's
All right.
Josh's birthday today. I'm pretty certain it's his birthday, and you know he's getting married here at the end of the month, so that's a big deal for him and his family. They're wonderful people, and by the way, they are farmers. They farm in the San Joaquin Valley in a little town called Firebaugh, which is where Josh is from, and we're good friends with the family. They're
I think
wonderful.
you and I went through Firebaugh. They're cantaloupe growers, right?
Yeah, well, they grow a little bit of everything now. They're into pistachios and almonds and a little bit of cotton at times, but yeah, very diverse and just wonderful people. The apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's a great kid, and I have high hopes for my Buffalo Bills this year. But you know what? I don't take it too serious. I'll always be a fan, and if it ever does happen, it's going to be a hell of a Super Bowl party.
That'd be a good party. All right. So, folks, really download AgVisor Pro, connect with Joe and the folks at Crop Protect Direct. You won't be sorry. Thanks for being on this edition of the AgVisor podcast.
Thanks, Rob. Appreciate it.